Okay, it is 8:31 p.m. Central Standard Time, Thursday, February the 11th. Welcome to Introduction to Criminal Law. My name is Richard Wright, and I'll be your professor for the next 5.5 weeks, and until I believe it's March 19th when this course actually ends. But I'll be showing you that on the calendar each week. So I want to make sure that today we're going to go a little longer than we normally would. We're going to go usually about an hour, but today is, oh, okay, I had to turn that off. Sorry about that. And let me start my video. I thought my video had started. Okay, there we go. Okay, now you see my video. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. And I'm going to share information concerning the requirements or expectations that I have for each of you. Many of you in this particular class don't really know me. You never had me before. I do know a few people that I recognize names and from previous classes. And so you'll understand some things. So tonight I'm going to lay out the foundation. Pay close attention to everything that I say every week, but especially tonight, because if you don't start off right, you're going to find out your grade is going to be adversely affected. I just finished grading one of my classes, Introduction to Corrections, that ended Tuesday night, and I'm working on grades. And one of the key issues that students keep failing to score high is not following what I say in the lectures, and also not following the rubrics. I grade heavily on rubrics. Probably 95% of my grading comes from the rubric, and you'll become familiar with that process each and every week. So let's go ahead and get started. Let me share my screen. Okay, first of all, let me move this up. First of all, you see my information, instructor information. This course homepage is going to be very valuable to you throughout this course because it's going to contain a lot of information that will help you. It's not extra information, it's things that will help you to maximize your grading. And so first thing you have in there, if you notice, is my phone number. That's 630-660-8480. That is not a Google number. That is this number. I am one of the few professors who actually give their cell phone number. It's on my business cards. It's in my profile. And that's how you can reach me by phone. My office number is in there, but I'm not in the office. Well, two reasons. One, because of the pandemic, but also because the criminal justice program is for years and years and years been remote. So I go to my office periodically, but the best way to reach me is through that cell phone number. And notice what I say to you in there. I says you can feel free to call me, text me, or email me any hour of the day except the 25th hour of the day. Now you figure that one out. And when I say it, I mean it. Students who've had me in the past, if you're asking about Professor Wright, does he respond quickly to calls, emails, and text? They'll say yes, because of the fact that I like to communicate with my students and help you. Now, when you text me, please make sure that you include your name in the text, as well as the course you're in and the question or issue that you have. Because more than likely, what I will try to do when I do see the text is call that number. And sometimes you guys are not able to answer. So I like to talk to students as much as possible. Email is probably the slowest way to do it. If I have an urgent matter, even though I do have access to my emails on my phone, but I'm not going to see the course email until I go into the course. So if you have an urgent issue, then get into the habit of primarily using the first two methods as opposed to the third one. And then you see next, rubrics are highlighted. And there's a reason why, because you're going to hear me talk about rubrics. Rubrics all the time. Rubrics match up with the module, but rubrics, that's how you get your grades. As I said, it's 95%. Notice I didn't say 100%, because there are some things that you're going to learn in a few minutes that's very important. For example, your written assignments should all be in APA format. If you're not familiar with APA, there's going to be enough information that's given on the course homepage tonight that will be able to help you to know the proper way. And you're going to discover why we use APA and the importance of citing your sources and providing references. And so we're using the 7th edition. And if you're not familiar with APA, it is very important that you become familiar with it, not just for this class, but for every other class. And then critical thinking. Critical thinking is one of our transferable skills that I'll talk about tonight. It is very important that today's employers are looking for individuals who are critical thinkers, individuals who can think on their feet, who can take the material, analyze it, and critique it, and provide the details. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm a natural critical thinker. Does anybody know why I'm a natural critical thinker? If you looked at my background at all, do you know why I'm a natural critical thinker? You can type in the chat box and I'll see it. You know why I'm a natural critical thinker? Any guesses? Yep, that's it. And because to become a lawyer, I went to law school. And being a law student, we use what we call the Socratic method, which is actually critical thinking and action at plus. And so I'm a natural critical thinker. I'm very analytical with information, very creative. I oftentimes will think outside the box. And that's what employers are looking for. And we call them transferable skills because they transfer from class out to employment. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, but critical thinking, and then you'll have some sources that will help you with that. That must be demonstrated in your writing, in your written assignments. We don't want you just to copy and paste information, because of the fact that we also want you to run your papers through Grammarly. Each of you should be aware that you have a Grammarly account. That's something that they should have shared with you when you first came into the school. And it is important for you to run your papers through Grammarly and check the plagiarism box. And if it says above 25%, that means you need more critical thinking. That means you have too much of the material that you took from your research and not enough critical thinking, and you will lose that number of points. So let's say if you have 100 points on an assignment and you get 26%, you're going to lose 26 points out of that, and you're going to end up with a 74 right off the bat. So you don't want to have that to happen. So you want to run your papers through Grammarly. I don't mean your discussion posts, but I am talking about your written assignments. So these are all important in terms of grading. Here's some elaboration on that. You are required to conduct research for all papers. Now we have a library and learning center that provides a great library, and it's going to be down here. You'll see it in a minute as one of the resources. But your textbook you should minimize type using your textbook. If you heavily use your textbook, I will point it out to you. The idea is that we want you to get into the habit of researching and using what we call credible resources. Very important. And credible resources are resources that are considered as reliable. Now, can anybody tell me of a resource that you should never use or cite in your discussion posts or either in your written assignments? Can you name one? It's one that's very well known. You probably should have heard it. Okay, finish it. That's the first part. What's the rest of it? Yeah, there you go. That's it. And the reason for that is because of the fact that, and I think, Jonah, you know, because you've been in some other classes, right? Yep, I know the name. See, I have a photographic memory, and I remember my students' names. People are shocked. You got a lot of students. I said, yes, I do, but I still remember. But the point of the matter is yeah, Wikipedia, never, ever, because it's not reliable. It's not credible. It's a word-based website, and anyone can change the information in there. Most websites are not, but you also got to consider the websites that you use. Are they way in too heavily into what they're presenting? But our library and learning center resource has what we call vetted resources. And you're not limited to using that. You can use things on Google. I do myself, but I know the difference between using, when I see Wikipedia as a source, I skip over it. So you will lose 1 point, 2 points, I'm sorry, correction, if you don't do research right off the bat. That's in addition to what's in the rubric. That's why I said it's 95%. All written assignments should be in APA format. One of the primary things that I look for is citations in the body of the paper and references at the end. We're going to talk about why in just a few minutes in an academic integrity video, which those who've been in my classes are familiar with, and I'm going to share it with you. You should also type it in Roman 12 font. It should be double space, not single space. Okay, and you will lose points if you don't. You'll lose a point for not providing a cover sheet for all written assignments. I'm not, again, keep in mind when I say written assignments, I'm not talking about discussion posts. These are various resources that you can take time. You can learn about peer mentoring versus tutoring, student success guide that I recommend that you click on and pay attention to. There's the library answers, frequently asked questions, the writing guide that helps you. But this is the some of these you can click on and some of them you can't. So what I do is for some reason or another, I open the link in a new window. Okay, there it is. So your online library, and it has information that you can click on for guides. Did you not know that every every program has its own guide? So if you clicked on this, it'll lead you to the list of guides, and you see ours is right here. And if you clicked on School of Justice Studies, it tells you about research, APA, and all the things that you need to know. It provides detail. This gentleman over here is Dennis Johnson. He's our librarian that will help you out. Bethany Marston, the Learning Center coordinator, she's the one who is responsible for the student tutors that will help you. And the student tutors are very, very sharp. These are honor roll students who are specially trained to be able to help you with assignments. Now, if they're in the course now, they can't help you in the course that they're in. But my understanding of the ones that are in so far are not in this course. I've had some in the past, and they're in other courses, and they can help you. They won't give you your answers, but they will guide you. And then there's other things that you can find. Here's a source right here to help you with cases. It's called Fast Case. And if you click on that, paralegals use a lot, but we in the Justice Studies program, unrelated to being paralegals, can also browse the library. You can find various statutes and so forth. So you can find out information, and it tells you primary and secondary sources, and it helps you to complete your assignments. Okay, so I'm going to click out, close out of that. Okay. All right, so these are some sources that you can get, and like I said, if you can't click on them, some of them you can, but most something happened in the links. I don't know what it is. You see they're highlighted, they should be, but just right click or either copy and paste into a browser. This is about tutoring. These are some articles that will help you, and these articles that will help you going beyond the textbook. And there's a PDFs, and I think these are okay. Yeah, you click on them, and it takes you to articles that give you some tips for going beyond the textbook, and it helps you with promoting critical thinking and other things. You can download and utilize those to help you. Analytical tips. This also helps you with critical thinking. This is another article. The importance of information literacy, which is one of our transferable skills. Now, we already talked about that a little bit earlier. Referencing for criminal justice students, that will include dealing with, if you take a look at it, again, it helps you how to cite information, and it tells you about APA. Now, this says the 6th. We don't use 6 anymore. The article was written before that, but it's still a good article because we now use 7th edition. And tells you about references and explains it, and it helps you to learn more about how to deal with those kinds of things. All right, so this is just one tool. I do want to go back, and I want to show you something. Going back a minute to the to this library. I want to okay, I want you to see this. This is what I wanted to show you. So APA, if you click on this, it opens up and it tells you about APA to help you in 7th edition. So I want to just point out to you, if you hover over any of these, talking about transferable skills, which we're going to talk about in just a few minutes. Noodle tools that will help you to format, helps you deal with research appointments, articles, and technical support. If you have a technical issue, you could go to this, and it gives the information about PSC. There are 365 days a year, 24/7, even on holidays. They don't have hours. And here's their phone number, and then here's the email if you have an issue. But I call them all the time, and I talk to them if I have an issue. So I have students sometimes that reach out to me with a technical issue, and I tell them, contact PSC. Okay, and this is just one of the ways of reaching out to them. So this all, for new students, there's a resource that they prepared to help you. And this is a good thing. Helps you with your schedule, financial aid, everything that you need to know about your textbooks and all of that. So it's the Library and Learning Center source. Research tools, and it tells you how to find sources, library guides, APA guide. So if you clicked on that, there it goes back to your School of Justice Studies. So the point of the matter is be aware that you have those right there at your fingertip. All right, so let's move on down. And then critical thinking, dealing with transferable skills as well. Now, this is a video that is about an hour long, and it's about me. And it explains to you why you'll see adversity is a springboard to success. I used to use this and do it with the open house, but it made the lectures go too long. But I do encourage you to listen to it, and you will learn why I'm a very empathetic professor, why I am the professor that I am today, why I am very focused, why I am student focused. And you can share this with others if you want. And actually, if you can click on this, but I also emailed you each the link as well. So if you clicked on this, for example, it'll open it up. You see it's an hour and 3 minutes, and it's me talking. Okay. So okay, so I wanted to get out of that. Let's go back to the classroom. So you can listen to that and listen to it very carefully. I think it'll be beneficial to you. Rubrics are located in each weekly assignment, and I have an announcement each week, starting with this week. This is something that I was requested to do, so I'm doing it now. And this is going to be your regular rubrics for your written assignments. Your live lectures will take place today and roughly until 10 o'clock. But starting Tuesday of next week, that is on the 16th, weeks 2 through 6, 8:30 to 9:30. Each of these, you must give me a key phrase or key word that I try to give you. And if you're not able to attend the lecture, then you will want to still give me the key phrase in the Dropbox as well. Recordings will be under here. So today's recording, week 1 open house, will be here. And each week I will have them posted. So now let me show you how the course calendar works. I want you to see this. By the way, in weeks to come, you'll be asked questions. Oh, I got both classes in here, so let me take this one out. Here we go. It should remove it. Okay. So here's where we are. So we started yesterday and your reading assignment, and it tells you some stuff to study. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Your live lecture, again, it gives the link to the live lecture, which none of you that are here need because you know it, you're here. But it's also on the course homepage. This week is different. Your initial posts on police dogs and warrantless searches and your reply posts are due the 13th. And the reason why is because you will discover that starting next week, your discussion posts, initial posts will be on Tuesdays, and your reply posts. You'll see that you have the whole calendar in front of you. So anyway, for the 14th, you have your written assignment, elements of criminal law, and we're going to talk about that with the rubric and the module. That's why it's important. You know, guys, again, listen to what I say as I explain how to use the rubric in the course and the module itself. Okay, there it is right there, and it tells the due date. That's why that checkbox is there. And then your live classroom. So basically, for this week, you have your initial post, reply post, your written assignment, and your key phrase. Okay, and then we go into the next week. But notice this, and this is what I'll always show you. The last day of class is the 19th of March, which will come so fast that you won't realize it. The very last day. The very last day. Very last day. The 19th, not the 20th, not the 21st. So your written assignment's going to do on Sundays, except when you get to the last week, it's going to be due on the last day of class. All right, and this is an absolute rule. If you submit an assignment at 12 o'clock, which we'll put it on the 20th, it's not going to be graded. Okay, so that's the, and then you have access to this, and you can open it up anytime. All right, so that's the course calendar. Now I want to back up, and I want to talk about the syllabus. Here is the syllabus. And you can see it has my phone number. It has my email address, and then a reminder. This should be familiar to you because it's the same thing that's on the course homepage under additional information. So you'll see this reminder. This is a description of the course. All of you in this course have had Introduction to Criminal Justice. And you have to pass that to take this course. This is the textbook, which you have digital textbooks. That's what we utilize now. Going down further, term 2, which, as we said, written assignment for weeks 1 to 5 are due Sunday. It says midnight, but it's 11:59 p.m. Central Standard. And the last day of class, I just told you that a few minutes ago. Your discussion posts should be detailed. They should not be yes or no. They should be content oriented. They should demonstrate critical thinking and some analytical skills presented concerning the issues. So I'm laying this out for you today so you totally get it. After we get through, I'm going to ask you if you have any questions. But right now, I'm just feeding you information. You don't need to write notes down because you have the recording as well. Or if you have questions, write your questions down. Okay? And then it tells us about your initial posts. Notice that it says here, week 1, initial post due Saturday. and reply post Saturday. Week 1, initial post. Week, I'm sorry, this is term 2. So this is for week 1. But weeks 2 through 5, Tuesdays, just like I said. And then your reply posts, Saturday nights. Again, it says midnight, but what they really mean is 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time, which is a minute difference. So it's not any conflict. All right. And as you can see, term 2, which we're in now, starts in February. And it will end, as I showed you, March 19th. Okay, and I talked about library sources and APA already. These are the requirements for this course: readings, discussion posts, the practice activities, which you're not graded on them, but they help you prepare. And I'm gonna tell you in just a few minutes about well, when I get to this in a minute. Your written assignments, as I said, will be real world scenarios, and you're gonna have to follow what it says in each module. You'll assume various roles to help you to understand how it works. Again, don't worry about that. Quizzes. Now, there's only 2 quizzes. One is considered as a midterm, one is considered as a final. It'll be in week 3. Week 3, the first one. The second one will be in week 6. Now, the one in week 3 will cover materials from weeks 1, 2, and 3. The one that takes place in week 6 will be 4, 5, and 6. Okay, it tells you right here. First 3 modules, the last 3 modules. So there's no issue. Now, listen to me good. In the practice activities, one of the things that you'll see is a practice quiz, and I'll show you it tonight. And then your live classroom lectures. Now, so look at how it weighs out. A total of 500 points is perfect. And I do have students who get that or get close to it. 490s are high. Okay, but look at 90 points for your discussion posts, 200 for your written assignments, and quizzes 180. Look at what happens. 380 consists of the 2 quizzes, which are each 90 points, and then your written assignments are a total of 200 points for each of the weeks that you have written assignments. Your live classroom lectures, you get 5 points for supplying it on time and correctly, for a total of 500 points. That's the criteria for this. Now, remember, you got to do your reading, and then I supply you with PowerPoints each week to help you. So here's what I want to make the announcement. And some of you already know what I'm going to say because you've been in my classes before. My goal is to deal from A to B minus. Do not ever, I repeat, do not ever ask me, how do you get a C in my class? I will not answer you, because you can do that all by yourself. A and B to B minus is honor roll and Dean's list. This is Dean's list. This is honor roll. And my students, my goal is to get you on those. But I can't put you on there. You're going to have to do the work. But I will help you in any way possible if you're interested. I already told you the parameters for reaching me. I am probably one of the most open, student-oriented professors that anybody ever has. Even my colleagues, they all know. If a student goes back and says, I couldn't get a response back from Professor Wright, sometimes that means that what that student is saying is they reached out to me and I didn't call them right back or email them right back. No, I'm not. When I say 24/7, that means I check all the time. I check my emails more than once a day. And they all, and again, my text messages, they show up on my phone on the messages, and I'm constantly looking at those. So don't ask me how to get a C or a D, and you definitely don't have to ask me how to get an F. So don't do that. If you have accommodation issues, I cannot help you to get those. The only one who can help you is your campus accommodations coordinator. Oftentimes that's your dean at the campus that you're assigned to. Now, I know you're online, but your campus accommodations coordinator can give you steps about what you need to do to get those. And then we willingly grant accommodations for that. They put that in here by law to let students know about it. Before they didn't have it. But it's very important for you to be aware of it, okay? Accommodations is not going to be granted. My understanding is if you work 2 jobs, 3 jobs, or long hours, it's not going to be given for that. It's for individuals who are able to satisfy the ADA disability issues. So, and by the way, that information is given to me, and I don't share that with your classmates. I have a system in my module in my classroom to keep record of that and help students to get through. I've had many students who've had accommodations to be A students, many. So let's talk about transferable skills. Transferable skills consist of 6. Now, what you should be aware of is that dealing with, communicating with, or other individuals, these are the first 3. Communication. Written and oral communication is very important. It's very important to be professional. If any of you have been in my classes before and will be in my class on contemporary issues in criminal justice, I talk about writing and how important accuracy is in writing, and then grammar and things of that nature. And so written communication is important because your reports end up being filed as exhibits or documents in court cases. If any of you have been paying attention to what's going on with the impeachment trials, the attorneys for Trump, the media has been pointing out, and trust me, I'm sure that the senators or individuals who are out there see this, misspellings. They've misspelled United States and they united, or anyway, the bottom line is they even look at that. I have represented people in court where I have embarrassed a police officer or a medical examiner or someone who had a grammatical error. And I use that because as an advocate, my goal is to represent my client. And I've used things such as having a lowercase I standing alone. Now you should know that it is basic that the letter I, whether it's the beginning, middle, or end of a sentence, is standing alone, is always capitalized. That proper names and nouns should be capitalized. When to capitalize, when not to capitalize. But your spelling is very important. And so this all goes with communication. And so one of the skills that we teach you in school is to get your written and your oral communication. You're going to communicate with individuals from various backgrounds. Critical thinking, we've already talked about that. Digital fluency, everything's digital these days. I am 70. I will be 71. Well, I'll still be 70 when I finish with this class because my birthday is not until May. But when I came out of law school in 1978, which you've seen my picture if you looked at the student lounge, 1978 in June, this young Richard Wright, there was no technology. There was no details involving digital fluency because it wasn't here. In fact, I went to seminary in 91 and 93, and it was just getting popular then. The point of the matter is that I never had internet when I was in college and law school. I never had any of those things. I used to tell my students my internet never crashed. Computers, because we didn't use laptops and all that, we used pen and paper. We used these things called typewriters, and we thought we had arrived when we got these word processors, but we didn't have such thing as Google. We had to go to the library. My Google was World Book Encyclopedia, Encyclopedia Britannica. I had to go and use the Dewey Decimal System, which some of you may or may not know about. The point of the matter is how books are classified. I learned things like, for example, that books are kept based on the Dewey Decimal System and how they're organized by topics and authors and various fields. I learned that the Library of Congress is not the Library for Congress. It is the world's largest public library. I learned all these things, but digital fluency. So you must be proficient in being able to utilize. That's why in the course, you learn how to utilize Blackboard. You learn how to utilize Word documents, and you will discover that all of your documents in class should not be PDF or PowerPoints unless the assignment calls for a PowerPoint. I will let you know, but most of them are, and you will get a 0 if you submit an assignment and it is not a Word document. But it tells you, you gotta follow the instructions, guys. It's very important. And it's very, I learned to be technical. Why? I told you, because of my training. But I also, before that, I learned that I was an A and B student. Yes, I got C's. I never got D's or F's, but I got a C in some courses, but not in my main courses. But the point of the matter is that I was younger and I learned a lot of things now, and I share this with my students. Diversity and teamwork. Oh, by the way, so yeah, digital fluency. Most everybody got one of these things. On here, if you open it up, it has these things here. You can see them. They're my apps, short for applications. And I have everything, including one app that's called Bookshelf on here. And if I open it up, it actually shows me all of my textbooks. And I have all of my textbooks. Like, for example, this one right here that I have open now. This is my criminal law textbook. And I can go through and I can look at that. Man, it's nothing like this, because when I was in school, we had all these big books that we had to carry around. So digital fluency, learn how to use Excel, learn how to use PDF, but again, not for your assignments. Why do we use Word? Because we cannot edit and run your papers through Grammarly if they're PDF. Okay. Diversity and teamwork. We are in a population that is a melting pot. We have people from all over the world in the United States of America. We are a country of immigrants. Let's get that straight. We are a school who believes in diversity. We have a diverse population. We prepare you for dealing with people from diverse backgrounds who are different from you. And we learn to respect individuals, whether they're gay or straight, males and females, um, religious beliefs, and cultural beliefs, and things of that nature. We respect what people worship. For example, one of the holidays coming up, I think it's coming up Friday. Is it? I'm trying to remember. I get the two mixed up. One is Yom Kippur and one is Rosh Hashanah. I don't remember which one. I should remember this because I worked in a big Jewish law firm. But the celebration, I think it's Yom Kippur. If I'm wrong, somebody correct me. But anyway, the point of the matter is that there are people who deal with celebrations based on their ethnic culture. Many people now celebrate Kwanzaa, not just African Americans anymore. People celebrate other holidays. When people start talking about things like Black Lives Matters, that is not a racist comment. When we talked about Black Power, that is not the same as white supremacy. White supremacy is racist. Okay? White power is not necessarily racist, but the point of the matter is that we understand that people, I have people that they wear shirts, they say Irish power or Jewish power. The point of the matter is that's a cultural pride thing. But you will be dealing with individuals that speak different languages and come from backgrounds. You will work with a diverse number of students while you're in school and probably on your jobs right now if you have jobs. We are not a country that doesn't appreciate that. I am part of what's called the Diversity and Inclusion Council at Rasmussen College, and we promote diversity at this school. We believe very seriously in everybody being treated with dignity and respect for their beliefs. And no one should be shot down. Now, teamwork, you're working together as teams. In this course, your teamwork is going to primarily come from working with discussion posts, where you will respond and reply to the comments of your classmates each week. And you'll be able to operate on those bases. It is a different kind of thing to do study groups the way we used to when we had brick and mortar classes, but we work together in terms of responding to each other's discussion posts. Ethnic and professional responsibility. We must be professional in how we do things. We must operate ethically, professionally, and become educated. Those are the tiers that I teach my students from. And ethics and professional responsibility are a couple of our transferable skills. So if you notice that and then finally, professional responsibility and information literacy, we already talked about information literacy. So these are things that will fit within the course itself. I won't talk about the attendance policy. I will talk about the late assignment policy. Let's get this straight right up front. Students can submit assignments up to 7 days after the deadline. But each day that it's late, you're going to lose 10%. Be aware of that. So somebody say, oh, I got 7 days. Okay, let me ask you this question. If you submit a perfect paper on Sunday, which is generally the due date, it could be 100. You submit that same paper on Monday, 90. Tuesday, 80. Wednesday, 70. You see what I mean? By Thursday. So that's not 7 days. So you see my point. Okay. Now, that applies to written assignments. Now, there is an out, and then I'm going to talk about discussions. And it's in the third part here. It says instructors may waive the late penalty in case of extenuating circumstances as determined by the faculty, not your dean, not your advisor. They're not going to call me and tell me. They might ask me, and I have the final call. Even the president of the university, the chairman of the board, none of them will interfere in that. So it's incumbent on you as the student to let me know when you have a situation as soon as possible, ASAP. I've had students to say, oh, you know, I didn't want to bother you. I said, shame on you. You didn't see my requirements for the 24/7. You didn't see my requirements, rather, for any time except the 25th hour of the day, or you didn't pay attention to it, or you thought I was cracking a joke. No, I was making a point. And I mean what I say, and I say what I mean. Anybody in this class who's been in my classes before will say he says what he means and he means what he says. I am very supportive, and I don't spoon feed my students, by the way. I've had students to call me or reach out to me and ask me a question, and I won't answer it. I'll make them go, I'll tell them a source to go to, and oftentimes, you know where they find the answer? In the lecture. One student actually told me, well, I've worked 2 jobs and I have trouble listening to the lecture except to get the key word. I said, no, you didn't say that. You didn't say that. You wouldn't tell that to your dean, because your dean would say, oh, no. That's like coming to class. Remember, this is in place of coming to class. You're not going to just show up at the end of class, because then you'll be marked absent and you'll get 0. So anyway, you get my point. So I'm very liberal when it comes to extenuating circumstances. I'm very fair. I have never had a student that accused me of being unfair. And then sometimes I fall behind with getting grades in on time, like this last quarter I just completed. I fell behind quite a bit because I lost a sister around week 3, and that was tough to deal with, and it caused me to fall behind. But I work with students in terms of that. I am fair when it comes to helping my students in that. And again, remember, I'm the umpire, and there's no appeal from what I say is extenuating circumstances. So let's get that straight up front. So, but I put it on, the onus on you. Let me know. Let me know. Online discussions conclude at the end of the current week. Okay? And what that means is that at the end of the week, we go to a new topic. And here are the parameters. Your discussion posts are generally due, both of them. One's due on Tuesday, except this week, due on Tuesdays, and then your reply post is due Saturdays for weeks 2 through 5. Each day that your posts are late, you lose points. However, if you submit a discussion post on Sunday, you will not get points for it. You will not get points for it. Listen to me good and hear me well, because we're while the written assignments are due that Sunday, the period ends for discussion posts at 11:59 p.m. Saturday night. Now, let me tell you something that I do to help my students. If you get your discussion post in, your initial post, by Saturday, and you're going to lose points for it being late from Tuesday, 1 point for each day it's late. And then, by the way, if your post is not of good content, like it's a one-liner, doesn't have any substance, you're not going to get any points, and I'll tell you that in my grades. But because there's a rubric for discussion posts that I didn't share with you, and I'll make sure that you're aware of that. It's on the course homepage. You click on that rubric for discussions. But anyway, the point of the matter is this: if you do submit a post by Saturday night and a reply post on Sunday, you'll get 1 point taken away, and I'll give you credit for those points after taking that 1 point away. That's fair, and I have to be, but I'm doing that to help my students. But if you submit both of your posts on that Sunday, deal's off. I do encourage students to reply to more than one post because it makes the discussion forum more interesting. Do not read these words here, and in some cases, such as labs and exams must be completed and cannot be made up. I will give you other opportunities. I don't do that. I don't do that. In no circumstances may a student submit work after the last day of academic term unless an appropriate incomplete grade has been requested and granted beforehand. There's a complete grade policy. I'm not going to go over that. You can read that yourself. And then this is your academic integrity policy. Take time to read that and become familiar with it. Okay, those are the points that I want to cover on the syllabus. All right, now, just briefly here, before I go to the course homepage, the student lounge, and then you'll see down further your discussions, and I grade them, and I made comments to some already. But the student lounge, I encourage you to look at and post. Only one student has posted, and that's the student right there. And I'm not just showing you something that's not true, because that student's post is public, and it shares the information. And then I respond back to that student. So there was only 2 of us who have submitted them. Those of you should have read my welcome post, and it tells you about me, and it shows my family, and it tells you a little bit about me. That's why I was talking about June of '78. And then I have a mnemonic in here that I made up years ago in the '80s, long before I went to law school, and the word lawyers is based upon. And you can read that for yourself. And then I tell my students, pay attention to these letters, and it will help you. Notice that you are in the middle of LAWERS. So you get to know me, but post something in there about yourself. And it's not just for me, it's for your classmates as well. All right, so let's go back to the course home. When it comes to your course announcement, I have the rubric on here. How do you see it? Click on more to expand it and scroll down. And it tells you for your written assignment what the rubric is. And it breaks it down. Okay? So that you will see it for a total of 40 points. And notice we cover everything from APA to the page length. And I'm going to elaborate more on that in just a few minutes. But that's one of my weekly announcements that you will see each week. All right. So now I want to go back and I want you to pay attention to this academic integrity video that I'm going to share with you. I'm going to take off my headset and you may not be able to hear it very well, but if you don't, if you are, it'll be closed caption and you'll be able to see it. So I'm taking off my head. Of the Learning Center coordinator, he's conducting this, and this is who you'll see. Let's make sure I got the closed caption on there.
Academic integrity is making decisions in your academic life that are based on honesty, trust, fairness, responsibility, and respect. This means being honest in the work you do while respecting what others do. What is cheating? Cheating means destroying or receiving answers or information by any means other than means expressly conveyed by an assignment's requirements or an instructor. Some examples of cheating include asking fellow students for answers or copying answers during the test, using notes, devices, or materials during the test that an instructor may ask out, purchasing papers from websites or other sources, copying your classmates' work, assisting in class meetings, and other violations as noted in the academic integrity policy that can be found in all years. Always ask your professor if it's okay to use notes during the test or to work together with classmates on an assignment or grades. Now let's talk about plagiarism. Plagiarism means using another individual's work without giving them credit or taking another person's work and creating it as work. Some examples of plagiarism are turning in an assignment that someone else wrote, copying words or ideas from someone else, setting up for instance, without giving the individual credit, finding an important works and locations, using someone else's ideas and processes, or changing the flow of works to itself. Plagiarism is not just about its evidence. It's possible to utilize images, graphs, or even videos. How can you avoid plagiarism? Cite correct sources. Both in the body of the paper as in text citations and on the system. Whenever you write to those roles, updates, and notes that you should cite them from source matter. So this is the concept. Targeting and awareness starts with learning practices and skills not all around students. Which is what I want to take up to reduce awareness and how to act in the class. Reasons can be roughly thousands of jobs and areas. Following academic integrity guidelines, everyone in school builds those skills and ethical practices that play a student to correct things. I understand that I'm not what do you think you're having? This is the questions academic integrity policy. Start with perseverance. Talk with your responsibility. Listen to the systems your influence doesn't solve. Or hold your voice vigorously. Contact the Rasmussen collaborators for after-that or schedule meetings together. Now feel the resources to help. If you would like an appeal tool, schedule the learning to peer tools and universities
Okay, so you see what I was. This is just one place you can find that. If you go to resources, which you can get, you will also find it there as well. Here it is right there, same video. So you can get it there. And so this tells you about things like dealing with APA again, Grammarly, and other things. So you have that as well. Okay. Whoops. Let me go back to that. Got to go back to clear that out. So it's important for you to understand. Now you understand why I was talking about APA. Then here's some more. Another source tells you about the guides. Here it takes you again to another place where you learn about the toolkit on the 7th edition. So you have plenty of resources that are available to you right here. The writing process. Follow these steps. Okay. And then we get to announcements. Now, let me show you something. Make sure that. Okay, so introduction. This is something you should have read because of welcome announcement. Make sure you pay attention to each of these highlighted points to help you, like checking the calendar, the syllabus, we went over that, the student lounge. Check your announcements. General course question is a place where you can put a question that you want anyone to answer, not your private information. Resources tab, you know about that. And then your report tab is how I don't use that. That's so you can see the grade book. And then here it gives you the information about today and the open house, and then the lectures that will begin taking place starting next Tuesday. Okay. So this will be available the entire time, and you'll be able to see that. Okay, and then in addition to your rubric being on there, you'll also see the announcements. Okay, each week, in addition to the rubric or any other special announcements, it tells you, like this week, Module 1, Crime and the Constitution. And I'm not going to go over the details of it because we got 20 more minutes left. Read chapter 1 and 2 of the textbook, which I provided you with the PowerPoints, and you'll get those each week. And complete the activities, types of law, what is crime, the Fourth Amendment, probable cause, key terms, and for practice, elements of offense, classifications of crime, and quiz. And then it tells you about the open house that's taking place right now. This is your discussion assignment, police dogs and warrantless searches. Okay, and we already talked about those are due Saturday. And then finally, your written assignment, elements of criminal law. All right, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. And then this is your lecture information again. And then adversity to springboard to success. I told you where you can learn about that through what I emailed you, as well as on the course homepage. So each week you'll see one of these. All right. Now, let's go into the module itself. Each week module we go into, and the first thing I do is take you to the assignments. So here we go with the discussion post, and here's a fact pattern that you're going to use And then it tells you for your initial post, the question is, does probable cause exist to search David's home without a search warrant based on the narcotics detection alert for the presence of narcotics within a residence? Please explain. Does the detective's own detection, that is the smell, help to further support probable cause? Explain. And then your reply post, select another student's post and respond to that. And of course, excuse me, you know the due dates for that. Now your written assignment. Okay, now pay close attention to what I'm about to say about this assignment. Very important. You have 3 scenarios. Please follow what I'm about to show you in the rubric about that. I just showed you the rubric, but I'm going to show you it again. A place that you can also find it as you go through the assignment. So you're going to take this scenario, apartment fire. Scenario 2, rock through the window. And then finally, the stolen purse. Your assignment should be a minimum for addressing each scenario in a minimum of 3 pages, not counting the cover page or the reference page. That means that scenario 1 should be 1 page, scenario 2 should be another page, scenario 3 should be a 3rd page. Do me a favor and start each one on a separate page. I'm going to say it again. Start each scenario on a separate page and label it the best practice, so that as I go and grade it, I will know what I'm looking at. I cannot tell you how many times students have run it together. 1 page means 1 page, and you will lose points if it's not 1 page. Double space, people, not single space. Remember, it's APA formatted. Okay, and so you're going to deal with these 3 questions. Notice it says APA, citation, and formal requirements. And it tells you what I've talked about concerning that. If you want help getting started, we have guides for criminal law for this course that deal with each of these issues. And if you clicked on that, it actually opens it up. Okay? And this is it right here. For discussion posts, weekly assignments, and it helps you. So we provide you with a way to help you get these assignments done. Now, another way to see rubric is to click on the assignment, and it opens up and it tells you first the due date, which is the 14th, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard, my time, and tells you how many points possible. And again, if you want to view the rubric, it breaks it down to what you just saw earlier, and here it is again. So scenario 1, you're going to answer each of these issues. Scenario 2, each of these points. Scenario 3, and then, as I said, it must meet the 3-page requirement. Citations should be included in each scenario, people. You should conduct research, and then APA overall will be included as well. Notice it says again, no Wikipedia as well. Any questions about the assignment? The rubric and module are so important, and the things that I said that are located on your course homepage are so important. Once you know those, you don't even have to keep going back to it. You know that you got to do research. You know you're not going to rely heavily on the textbook. Any questions? Type in the chat box if you do. Nobody's typing? Is anybody there? Any questions? Okay, anybody else? Because I know how many people are in here. Okay. All right, I'm moving on. Again. Okay. The point of the matter is make sure, let's see. Yeah, the answer is yes. I just lay out the minimums. Yeah, yeah, yep. More is fine. Less is the issue. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All right. And then your live classroom, when you put that in the Dropbox again, like you're going into an assignment, and then you click begin, which means then you put in the Dropbox, and then just like you submit other written assignments. Okay. So it's due on Sunday. You can put it in right afterwards when I give it to you today. I'm going to give it to you in a bit. Those are the assignments for week 1. I will always go over them. So that's why I said it is important for you to follow what I'm saying and reminding you about this rubric. It's a little different rubric than the other rubrics that you might see in some of my other classes that I created this rubric. The other rubrics that you see the school, and when we get to those classes, like if any of you taking drugs and crime with me also, that means you'll see me tomorrow night again. Then we'll go over that. All right. So now let's go back to module 1 and the lesson content. And we're not going to go over it as much as I would, but I want to let you know. Notice it gives a summary first, tells you chapters 1 and 2. Again, you got the PowerPoints to help you study. I don't use the PowerPoints in my lectures. That's for your study tool. Types of law, crime, Fourth Amendment, key terms. And if for ordinarily, I would go over each of these in detail, but because week 1 is an open house, I cover it, but I explain to you how they work. So you're going to go through each of these to help you. The type of law. And it tells you, so you click next, and it explains civil law, constitutional law, case law, administrative law, and then you go back to the beginning. Okay. Again, if a normal week, I will have gone through the details. What is a crime? I do want to let you know here that crimes are classified in basically 3 formats. The primary 2 are misdemeanor and felony. As you see, it says a misdemeanor is a crime that's punishable by a fine and less than a year in jail. They're not as serious, like petty theft, disorderly conduct, things like that. A felony, on the other hand, is by a fine and more than 1 year in prison. Notice that what happens with misdemeanors, they're held in jail because it's less than a year. But after a year, you get to the felony and you go to prison. And they're dealing with more serious offenses, like what we're going to talk about in weeks to come: homicide, robbery, and arson. An infraction is like a speeding ticket or a traffic ticket, something along those lines. Okay. Usually it says typically no risk of jail time. Well, you can end up with jail time, but it's not because of the fact that the speeding ticket generally doesn't get you jail time. You cause your license to be suspended, and you can cost more for insurance because of the citations and convictions that you have. Jails versus prison. I already talked about that. Jails are temporary, hold individuals that are awaiting trial who are not able to make bail or serving out misdemeanor sentences, and usually conducted by the county or the city. Prisons are on the state and federal level for most serious offenders. The Fourth Amendment, you need to make sure you pay close attention to this. Deal with probable cause. It deals with reasonable suspicion, what we call the pat down or Terry stop versus based on Terry versus Ohio, the case that's cited here. Then here's the Fourth Amendment. You can download it yourself. And then there are exceptions to not obtaining a warrant. Be aware that the Fourth Amendment requires obtaining a warrant, okay? But it's based on the standard of probable cause. Unless there is one of these: plain view exception, consent, and then these explain consent, automobile exceptions, and then search incident to a lawful arrest. These are some, but these are the main ones. And then these are cases that support them, that they use for this. So you can use this to study in addition to your reading. Then we get down here to things that help you prepare for the quiz that's coming up, such as you click on key terms and you open it up, and then pick the top one, the flashcards. That's the best one to use. And what it'll do is it'll open it up. Should be opened up. Okay, I don't know why it's not opening up. Let's go again. Let me quit this. Let's try it again. I gotta tell them that I'm having trouble because this should open up. I'll have them to check this because this is something that, let me try opening up in a new window and see what happens. Okay, let's go back. Give me a second. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back here. Okay, let's go back. Click on that again. I don't know what's going on with that. Let me see if they have any of these going. Okay. Can any of you click on flashcards and get flashcards? Yes or no? Tell me yes or no. Okay. I'm gonna reach out to PSC after this. Okay. I'll take care of it. Wait a minute. Try and see if you can get it. Because I've never seen that happen before. Okay. Okay, let's see what you said. Okay. All right. I'll look into that and find out what's going on with that, because that shouldn't be. Okay. Let's go back. Let me quit this one. Close this window. Okay, let's go back. We go down here. See if any of these open, because you got to use these. Okay, for practice offenses, click on this. Okay, see, that's what's supposed to happen. And then you can start the activity, and then you'll go click on the element below that is not an element of armed robbery. And oh, okay. Oh, I know why. Can you see me now? Okay, let's go back. I thought I did this. Okay, can you see that now? Okay. So anyway, go through each of these and you answer these. All right. So now let me go back. Let me see if now that that's fixed, maybe it'll show up again. Let's see. But you still should have been able to see it. Key terms. Let me do the flashcards. Yeah, I don't know what's happening with that. Okay. Okay. I'll have them check on that. I don't know why this is doing this. Yeah. Okay. go back. Can you see the screen now? Okay. Let me see if the next one. So I'll be able to tell them what is working and what is not working. Okay, so elements. Let's see if classification of crime is working. Okay, you see that? Okay, so that one's working. So then what you do is match the type of crime with the proper type of classification. What's driving without a seatbelt? Is that, which one of these is it? Anybody else want to take another guess? Yep. Generally, you don't get jail time for that. You get a citation. It's like a traffic ticket is. Damage to property with a 30-day sentence. And then, of course, 18 months in prison. Remember, I said over a year. And so, you know, so submit it, and it's going to say perfect. Okay. Yeah, I would have been, I'm just about through. So I would have been through now, except for this thing going crazy. All right. And so then the last one is extremely important, and that is the practice quiz. This is, by the way, I'll tell you up front, these are some of the questions that show up on week 3 quiz. So you start the activity. What are codified misdemeanors and felonies known as? Case law, civil law, criminal law, administrative law. Which one do you think it is? Yep. Yeah. So you go through these and you get those done. Okay. Well, I'm going to deal with a key phrase for you. Like I said, we had to go a few minutes over because this thing's not acting right, but I'm going to reach out to them and let them know. And here is the key phrase. Anybody have any ideas what the key phrase should be for the day? I always like to have students try to guess it. Nope, that's not it. And one more guess. Criminal law. That's it. Give me criminal law for your points. Okay, any questions before I let you go? Okay, well, I'll see you guys Tuesday. Remember, Tuesday at 8:30. And then we will deal with module 2. In the meantime, if you have any questions, you already know the parameters and rules and all of that. Again, sorry about what happened. I've never seen that happen before. So I'm going to have to try to figure out what's going on with that. So I will see you guys next week. Remember to get your assignments completed. I know this is a short week, but you got to get them completed. That's why I had to do a lecture on a Thursday, and tomorrow night I got to do another one, which I never do on Friday nights unless I have to. Good night, guys, and have a great week and stay safe.